At the end of the day, the Senate can decide for itself. It's not going to be imposed upon by anyone else. Next thing you know, ini-impose niya yung position ng Senate on the co-equal branch, which is the House of Representatives, and then so on and so on and so forth. Right? So guys, ito yung problema natin. We have a systemic crisis. And that is why naintindihan ko bakit yung mga ibang kaibigan natin ay medyo naging skeptical, if not cynical, na dito na tayo sa ating Independence Day, tapos ganito yung bansa natin. You know, it's quite interesting. Sara Duterte was talking about, ano sabi niya, yung ano yun yung mga, ano yun yung mga traidor, ganun-ganon. Meron siyang mga, basta meron siyang mga, may mga hanas siya about Independence Day. Well, last time I checked, ano ulit yung statements ni Sara Duterte about West Philippine Sea? How many times did she come out full-fledged defense of yung ating mga karapatan sa West Philippine Sea? How many times did she criticize the bullying of yung ating mga mangingisda, ating mga Navy servicemen or Coast Guard at the hands of China? How many times? Did she release a statement? What has she said? Well, she has said many things about many things, including the war in Gaza, Afghan refugees coming to the Philippines. Ang dami niyang sinasabi about many things except the things that is happening literally sa ating bakuran, right? So the other thing that is also sobrang nakakatakot ngayon is, guys, hindi lang tayo nasa typical trapo situation. Kasi the typical trapo situation is basically high corruption, but certain degree of civility at least among the trapos, certain at least pretensions to liberal democratic politics, and at least certain also pretension to patriotism or at least fidelity dun sa ating traditional alliances and all of that. Even that nawala. So totally wala nang there's not even an attempt at civility. Purong bastusan na nakita natin. Alam mo, every time, guys, you wake up, you open your phone, all you see is binabastos-bastos ka lang ganun. Except, guys, it doesn't work. I mean, it doesn't work, right? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Mahalaga, guys, na we troll the trolls. We remind the trolls na hanggang dyan lang kayo, guys. Whatever you say, whatever troll farm, dashing you want to do, walang epek yan. Because, we know our worth. Alam naman natin yung natin, caliber natin. So you have to troll back the trolls. But having said that, naintindihan ko na basically political civility has evaporated over the past decade, unfortunately. It's very, very sad. If there's one thing that BBM probably did right was to bring back a certain semblance of statesmanship. Pero wala rin eh. Tignan mo, si Harry Boy and all, tawag lang nila, bangagbang, ginaganyan lang, binabastos lang yung presidente. Yung normalization of basically barbaric rhetoric. Let's just put it that way, right? That's for me very, very problematic. Because once civility is gone, then you're actually flirting with political violence. And we don't want to go down that road. But the other thing, guys, is nakita din natin is, kitang-kita natin, guys, pagdating sa issue ng West Philippine Sea, pagdating sa ating, ating karagatan, ating territorial integrity, at least there's one thing that you saw consistently with most of our presidents before Digong was that at least there will be an attempt to say something about it or at least deny that they're, Arroyo, for instance, who had the closest relationship with China. At least she would pretend that, she's still trying to defend our sovereign rights. Wala, kay Digong, wala. Yung mga supporters. So, anong ulit ang sinabi ni Robin Hood Padilla, ni Bato, you get what I'm saying? At yun ang problema natin ngayon, di ba? So, you're having a situation whereby you have illiberal, anti-Western, semi-fascist, alt-right populist figures, demagogues at least. Let's just call them demagogues. Kasama lang yung mga grifters who will just say whatever makes their boss happy or their base happy. Sometimes it's the same. And then basically, trapos who are ganon, diba? Put their finger in the air. Okay, mukhang malakas ang hangin dito. Doon na tayo, diba? So when you have all of these things, you are really in a problematic situation. And then, of course, yung EJ case. We had the extrajudicial killings en masse, right? Over the past decade. And then now, you have basically pati yung ating saligang batas ine-EJK na nila. So this is a very, very problematic situation we have. Now, lahat yan sinasabi natin, guys, dahil ayoko na ma-distract tayo sa more systemic and fundamental problems sa ating lipunan. as I said, okay, minsan nakakatawa, minsan a bit mean, right? But, CHIZ Escudero is not the ultimate source of problem. He's just a manifestation of it. Obviously, he has to be held responsible for, basically, shimenating yung impeachment ni Sara Duterte. But, having said that, I think mahalaga na hindi tayo ma-distract dun sa fundamental systemic challenges and problems na meron tayo. And as I said, it's this really perfect storm of grifters, trapos, and demagogues all coming together. And hence, we are in this situation whereby someone like CHIZ feels emboldened enough or compelled, or a combination of both, to basically try to wiggle his way out and come up with whatever cheesy explanation to do what he did, which is basically dereliction of duty, constitutional duty. And please lang, okay, CHIZ Escudero is not a luminary. He's not a legal luminary. I think you talk to any legal luminary, at best they'll say CHIZ is some mediocre guy, right? I haven't heard anyone who has been his teacher or whatever saying that incredibly smart or wala. He's basically a mediocre, just another lawyer, right? Nothing special with the guy. And definitely, I think laos na yung style niya ng pananalita ng paikot-ikot ng ganyan-ganyan. And kagabi, I think we basically showed na walang kakwento. Basically, it's sophistry what he does, right? He's saying everything without saying anything, right? Anyway, but as we speak, guys, nevertheless, ang tanong is, what do we do next? Okay? Because it's one thing for us to have a proper analysis. Sige, go ahead, red tag me. As Lenin said, there's no successful revolution without good theory, right? You have to have a good theory of revolution before. So it's in the same way, hindi natin kayang ayusin yung mga problema ng ating bayan kung hindi natin naintindihan ano po yung ugat ng problema. Kaya kanina, binigyan ko itong mahabang predicate, itong mahabang contextualization ng basically itong triangular relationship among trapos, grifters, and demagogues, right? On the back of the failures of liberal reformists or inutile liberalism, I call it. So ang tanong ngayon, guys, is anong gagawin natin? Okay? Anong gagawin natin? So then again, I go back to my framework of Antonio Gramsci. Again, go ahead and red tag me. Go ahead. Good luck. War of maneuver, war of position. May mga bagay na kailangan natin ayusin agad-agad. May mga bagay na kailangan natin na may response agad-agad. May mga bagay na urgent and we have to have a decisive response and tactical responses right away. And then there's the war of position, which is a much more long-term strategic approach kung saan ayusin mo yung mga problema sa loob ng ating lipunan, isa-isain mo lahat ng mga yan. So basically, you have to have a two-level approach, and this should go simultaneously. Kaya nga napakamahalaga, guys, na nag-uusap-usap ang mga tao. This is one of the things I always really, really did not like, right? Again, I could be a bit more about my lexical but isa ito sa mga bagay na minsan naiinis talaga ako, which is itong silo style mindset. Yung click, right? I know a ton of people na exactly parehas yung kanilang basa sa ating problema. Almost exactly parehas yung kanilang vision para sa ating bansa. Sensibilities parehas. Pero dahil sa petty personal issues, I don't know, professional envy, I don't know, whatever, snowflake, ganyan, or just, comfort zone lang, hindi nagre-reach out ang mga tao. One of the things I'm proudest of is I try to reach out to a lot of people. I mean, if I'm left to myself in comfort zone ko is I'm just gonna read every book I have, right? And then just write and interview all around the world and just travel and talk. Okay, that's gonna be my comfort zone. But guys, tignan nyo naman effort natin. We go on the ground, we do vlog here, we talk to different people. Kahit alam natin, iba dyan, binabash tayo dati, or itong mga to, ganito. Okay lang, go ahead. Collaborate. Itong tao na to, si ganito, si Kristan, si Mark Gamboa, si ganito, si Ronald, si ganito. You just collaborate. You just talk to different sides. Kasi, if you're just in your own silo and nag-mighty, intellectual ka, or ivory tower boy ka, walang mangyayari, guys. You have to really work the numbers, coalitions, build it, talk to different sides. Kahit yung mga tao na hindi ko binoto, mga tao na ayoko, sige lang, civil lang, mag-usap tayo, anong point of view mo, anong kailangan mo, di ba? For the interest of the realm, to put it in a very Game of Thrones way, right? This is about the interest of the realm. It's not about factionalism. So itong faction na mindset has always been a source of frustration for me, and I've seen it everywhere. Nagkiklik-click yung mga tao. As if everyone is trying to compete to be the next David versus the Goliath of katrapuhan and Goliath of demagoguery and DDS and all of that. Yun ang medyo talagang ayoko. You know, like, we can have debates, we can have discussions, we can have disagreements. Pero walang personalan. At the end of the day, if we share the same vision for the country and the same values, political values, then let's work it. Let's work it together. Okay? Now, going back to this, what should we do? So, in terms of war of maneuver, I think it's absolutely clear that CHIZ cannot be the Senate President, and then expect na sa 20th Congress may maayos na mangyayari pagdating sa issue nito. I think the longer CHIZ will be around, it's not good for the Senate as an institution. It's not good for our democracy. Yes, masaya mga timpiato sa kanya. I sarcastically said that kung gusto niya, he can join the defense team of Sara Duterte and everything will be fine. Right? You'll keep the timpiatos behind you and good luck sa 2028 elections, diba? But let the adults take over. So, first order of things is dapat magkaroon ng change in leadership sa Senate presidency. I just don't see how we're gonna get out of this mess if CHIZ is still the Senate president come 20th Congress. I think things will get even crazier. Crazier because we're actually sleepwalking towards constitutional crisis. We are sleepwalking towards constitutional crisis. I mean, etong ping-pong, wala nang dribbling eh. Ping-pong na to eh. Ping-pong na to, guys. Nagpi-ping-pong na eh. Hindi, i-remit namin sa'yo. Hindi, balik. Ay, hindi, i-remit namin sa'yo. This is ridiculous. What on earth is this? Ping-pong na to eh. This is crazy. Now, I hope hindi rin magkaroon ng ping-pong with the Supreme Court. I really hope the Supreme Court comes in and decisively and hindi, baka mamaya, but yung decision ng Supreme Court ay ganyan-ganyan rin. Wag naman sana. Because we're gonna head towards, guys, a constitutional crisis, a very, very dangerous and explosive situation. Now, I know, ganito ang mindset ng timpiatos. Wala naman yan, mag-iingay-ingay lang naman yan. Wala lang yan. But, you know what I'm saying? That is a very hubristic mindset that actually could prove very dangerous. Right? Yes, totoo na humina ang mga liberals. Totoo na there's a long way to go for the pinks. We'll talk about that when I talk about the second part, which is war of position, right? But andito pa rin tayo sa war of maneuver. You see, ang basically mindset nila is, nag-number 1 naman si ganito, almost number 2 naman si ganito dun sa midterm elections. Sabi naman nung ganitong survey, 60% yung trust rating ni ganito kahit nasa kulungan na. Okay, perfect. So, ang mindset basically nila, wag na tayo matakot, wala lang mga yan, mga dilawan lang, mag-ingay-ingay lang. Ganun yung mindset nila, Kaya, they think they can just basically tokang our constitution. So, there has to be some decisive intervention by the Supreme Court. But, guys, dapat i-remind din ng mga hindi timpiatos, right, na hindi sila inutil. Because obviously, they're not being taken seriously. So, yung nakita natin kahapon in terms of protest, that should be just the opening act. There have to be much more sustained, organized mobilization to remind these people that there are going to be consequences. And to also remind these people that in 2028, there's going to be a hall of shame made now and a hall of fame made now, and there's going to be reward for those who did right. And accordingly also, magkakaroon ng consequences, electoral consequences, dun sa mga sobrang tapon moves ang ginawa nila. Right? So basically, you can make, for instance, kind of a red list. Lahat ng mga ganitong binoto, never ko bobotohin bilang isang president or vice president. Because we know a lot of those people who voted along certain lines are thinking that they'll get the position kasi. So I'm trying to, yes, I mean, we can have a long conversation about the dialectical interaction with the war of position, but I'm trying to have, at least for heuristic purposes, some distinction. Now, balikan natin itong war of maneuver. So first thing first, we have to make sure the Supreme Court comes in and makes decisive there has to be in charge of the Senate, because at the end of the day, mahal ko pa rin yung institution na yan. Because once upon a time, that Senate was filled up with some of the finest minds in the country. Jovito Salonga, Nene Pimentel, whatever, right? Yeah. Coco Pimentel finally did something right, okay? But let's not forget, this was DDS forever, then became an ex-TDS suddenly because nagkaroon ng power struggle ng PDP laban. But do not forget, how did Coco Pimentel perform again last year nung panahon ng hearing ni Digong? Remember, he was, sa sobrang inutil yung hearing na yan, si Digong was just bullying everyone and just laughing and all. Yun lang, niyari lang siya ng ICC eventually. But do you get what I'm saying? Thanks to Torre and the rest. But do you get what I'm saying? So let's not get over impressed. Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I mean, I get annoyed. Like people, how easy for people to forget like everything in the past 10 years. Just remember one good thing you did and then okay na tayo. It cannot work that way. When you say give credit where credit is due, it doesn't mean you forget everything else. All right. So I'll say